Hey everybody, I want to talk about how to get Google Guaranteed. That also is Google Local Service Ads, as they call it now. Let's dive in. All right, everybody. So how to get Google Guaranteed? This is a really popular question I'm getting from a lot of clients now, is just asking more about what is Google Guaranteed. So Google Guaranteed is what you see when you basically go into a search and you might type in like plumbers nearby, that kind of thing. And you'll essentially see the local Google Guaranteed items. So that is how it works right there, Google Guaranteed items. And you'll basically see them sponsored posts is what they are. And it's at the top of the search listing, which is really important, to actually have top placement. And it's above a Google ad, which is a big deal. So the traditional Google ads are actually under that, followed by SEO rankings sometimes, and then the Google Maps placement listing on the search engine results page, the SERP. So over here, we can see that Google Guaranteed ads are obviously very, important for top placement. So like another difference is if you look up, you'll see Google Screened sometimes. So the difference between Google Screened and Google Guaranteed is that Google Guaranteed is actually vetted at the level of location. So locations will actually have checks. And before I go too deep into this, what are some of the differences for Google Guaranteed? So Google Guaranteed is essentially a service that is offered by Google, and it's top placement for ads. And it basically involves requiring paperwork to submit for businesses to be vetted by Google. And it requires some paperwork, such as showing the EIN. So you would submit an IRS letter documentation. You'd also have to submit licenses and insurance and be subject to a business background check. Now, like I said, if you're looking at it from Google Screened, you actually have a little bit less needed. So you won't have to actually submit the location. So Google Screened people include real estate agents, they include financial planners, and lawyers are really big ones in that area because they might not always have a location. And that's something where Google Screened is actually quite helpful. So why would your business want to be Google Guaranteed? Well, basically, when you're Google Guaranteed, you have that trust factor is kind of what it is. So part of it is that, businesses look to trusted businesses. Search Engine Journal, for example, says that the Moment for Trust survey found 81% of customers trust is a deciding factor in purchases. So obviously it's very important. And with Google Guaranteed there, people have this kind of perception of trust. Now, the idea is, of course, if you're Google Guaranteed, Google will actually kind of stand behind it up to $2,000 per job, which is, pretty significant. So that's obviously pretty good. If you have Google Guaranteed, customers are kind of aware that that's a positive, that there's some money behind it if they have a bad purchase or something like that. There are issues with that on the business side, which I'll get into later, but something obviously that's pretty important right there. When you're first checking to see if you're Google Guaranteed, you want to check and see if you qualify first off. That's really important. So first you would go to the website on the link of this video, and in that there'll be information all about Google Guaranteed as well as the website, how to qualify. So Google has select businesses that they categories that they accept. And so you would basically go to their website. It has the latest information. I don't want to list them, and I recommend not taking any lists from any other business because, it could be, they won't be current. So that's a problem. Basically what you would do is you go to the website and you would pick your main industry. Say you're an orthodontist, you would go to healthcare, and then you would see orthodontist, which luckily is there. Now, not every industry will be there, but the ones that are, you can see what information then is needed to submit. So for example, an orthodontist needs to submit background check requirements. They also have insurance requirements, so general liability insurance, and then license requirements for on the state level. And then there might be additional qualifications once you submit to the program. So when you submit to the program, it's kind of important because how long does it take? Well, it takes between 2 to 5 weeks to qualify, generally speaking, for Google local service ads. Now, this time can vary, and honestly, Google has been really bad lately for support. So that can even take longer. And if you need help with that, I would actually recommend reaching out to us at Cow Abundant, because we are actually higher standing in our accounts. We're an agency, so we can normally get through to Google a little faster in many cases. So it's worth a shot. So what does it look like when you actually click and a user actually looks at your Google guaranteed ad or local service ads? Let's take a look. So if you actually click on one of these ads, it'll open up a new page, which is essentially like a Google business listing. Google business listing obviously can be optimized. However, this is a little different because it is in fact an ad. It is in fact a Google local service ad. So the information is slightly different than what you might see on a traditional Google Maps placement. So once we click on that, we can see this information here that is really suggested to just take action. So it'll be call, message, or share. Call, message being the most important there. Now, there are some businesses that just have call alone. It can vary. But one thing that you might notice here is that they're not showing the website. So we don't see in this somewhere like really the website info. Now, it is down here and you can actually get to it, but it's a little more hidden than a traditional Google Maps placement ad or a Google ad. So that's something of interest. Now, if we look over here again, you would click call, you would click message. I'm not going to do that because in theory, that could actually trigger a conversion and I don't want to charge this person. Now, this actually shows interest, so I am kind of looking at it, but I'm not taking any action right now. So if I were to click or message and then maybe type in a message, that's when the person would be billed, and billing varies per industry. So speaking of billing, how are you billed for Google Guaranteed? Well, basically, Google Guaranteed follows the similar principle of Google Ads in that you're billed every 30 days or $500 spent. Now, that can vary if you're a new account because it could only be $350. Generally, though, it's $500. And if you're spending more, it might actually be a higher limit than that. Something to note. But looking at this, Google basically will spend that. And what's also really cool is if you have an account, we're actually able to set up accounts because we're an MCC agency. And basically when we create an account, we can also link that account to your Google Ads account. So your billing can be the same. So you can use the same billing from your Google Ads to your LSA accounts, which is very handy. If you look at the leads, you can actually see Google has certain things that it qualifies as a lead. So I'm going to list some of them. Some of them include if you receive a text message or email from a customer, if you receive a voicemail from a customer, you answer a phone call and speak with the customer. That's very important, obviously. You received a missed call without a voicemail and you return the customer's message with a text message, email, or where you either speak with the customer or leave a voicemail, that kind of thing. You receive a booking request from a customer. So those are all really important and things that are considered a lead. Now, kind of some information here also is that what's considered not a lead, there's a number of criteria here that's not a lead. If a customer cancels a booking, if a lead was received outside of business hours, if a customer asked for advice to complete a project related to your service offer. Now that might require some information, but it's technically not a booked session, so that does not count, which is great. A customer was researching, so kind of the initial research phase, and you might have to put in certain cancellation stuff, which can be kind of annoying, but it's possible if the leads that actually came through weren't actual leads. So, and that can take 2 months, 60 days sometimes to get money back. Just letting you know, basically. But looking at this, there are some more issues you can check out on the website that tell exactly what is and isn't a lead. Another thing that's kind of funny, it's kind of ironic that all this stuff a good Google Ads account will actually do, but a lot don't do it well. And I think this is Google's response to all the bad ad accounts that are out there. There's like way too many bad ad accounts that aren't tracking conversions right, that aren't, managing leads well. And because of that, it's like all over the place and people might not be getting results. So this is Google's answer to that, which is this local service ads. And that's why they put it at the top. They're vetted, all that stuff. which is a positive thing. I mean, maybe it's going to be more popular in the future, even more. It's already very popular. In fact, there was one report from OMG blog that actually stated that customers were getting increased leads by 1,800% when compared to other companies. That is obviously massive. Not every company will have that result, obviously, but that is a big deal. And the fact that it's at the very top of the page and everything makes sense as well with that. There is one thing I wanted to remember. There is actually a leads tool on Google, but I really don't recommend it. In our testing, we've actually seen some of the results be wildly inaccurate in terms of actually how the cost would be. Now it's possible you can try it and see, but in our experience, it's way under budget of actually what it ends up being. So just be advised with that. So why do I have to verify and do all that stuff? Well, one of the reasons is Google was under a lot of trouble years ago, and as early as 2022 even, for some spam reviews and stuff. And it was even worse prior in 2018. They were making up for scammers just hitting the top spots in a lot of these businesses. And there's a lot of businesses where trust is an issue. So that's actually where this is helpful. So that actually requires real verification. It takes time. You have to be patient. You have to submit your information. Google has to review it. And right now, Google has not been the best with support. They have been very, very slow. And again, if you need help there, contact us, because we have Google reps and people we can talk to, and we can try to push it through maybe a little faster because of our account standing and just our general knowledge of the space and everything. So just something to be advised, but that's where this whole thing came about, was because of all the issues in the past with scammers being on top, and why there's so much scrutiny on the verification process, why it's so important, and why it takes so long to actually get through. So what are some of the disadvantages of Google Ads? Well, there are some disadvantages. Nothing's perfect, and obviously it's only available to certain industries. For one, it requires separate Google Ads accounts, ads budgets, but can be used during the same account. So that's a little bit tricky there. Multiple locations have to be approved, so that's something to note, with separate budgets, and the minimum is $500 each. So be aware of that. It's $500 per location per month. So you would have to have a minimum of that to use this program. Some other issues is that this initial cost might be too high for some, and that can require high budgets. Also, if you're in a very popular or crowded industry, law firms, for instance, in certain areas can go for hundreds of dollars per lead and be very expensive. So be aware of that as well. Also, the support is not the best with Google right now. The support is pretty iffy. So be aware of that. That was a power down signal, but basically they do have some support issues. So be advised, there could be some problems there. Also, it's possible for customers to take advantage of this in theory. Now, Google has tried to do a little better job of that, but it always is possible that there could be somebody who takes advantage of this. Complaints must be filed within 30 days of the job, and it can only be of up to $2,000. So that could be a potential negative of too. Google will actually refund up to $2,000 to the customer. And even if the customer, as long as they did the job or whatever, or you did the job and they agreed, if the customer has a record with Google that way, they could get the refund. So be aware of that. Businesses must also meet the criteria ongoing. If they're not, then they'll be removed from the program. You can read more about Google Guaranteed. Again, if you have multiple locations, you will have to verify each location. So every location has to be done there. So do you need an agency to help? Or what if I already have an issue with my Google local service ad or Google Guaranteed? Well, if you have an issue right now, we recommend not to do anything. Don't do anything.
Don't do anything. Okay, that's very important.
Basically, you want to contact Cow Abundance, contact us, contact an agency to try to contact and fix the issue, because if you do it yourself, it can take forever. Google has been very slow to contact a lot of people this way. Their systems are just kind of bogged down at the moment. So it is really frustrating. I get that for a lot of people, but I recommend don't do anything right away. Contact an agency, have them help you out, have them contact Google, get this done that way to get your account back on. If it's been more than 30 days, though, you're kind of going into a fallout territory where Google actually can dismiss your case altogether, and then you're just kind of permanently blocked that way. So that can be very frustrating. So time is of the essence. Do you need an agency to do all this stuff? No, you technically don't. You can do it yourself. You can call Google. You can set up your account, submit the information, do everything they say. But obviously it's nice always to have somebody in your corner to help you. That's always great and helpful. So we recommend that. And that's why we also recommend to contact How Abundant. We can set up an account for you. We can get everything going, and hopefully that can just be a great experience. So then you can start running local service ads in your area. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. If you had any questions at all, please like and subscribe below and comment with your question. I'd love to know, particularly in your industry, how much are you seeing your local service ads for? I'd love to know. I'll try and answer below. And thanks, everyone. Be well and be awesome to each other. Bye.